All right, everybody. Green with Envy post game live. Celtics, a 117 to 115 winner on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to 11-9. We're going to give you a recap of this unexpected and exciting win the Celtics had on the road, as well as we're going to kind of go through and give you here. We're now 20 games into the season. We're going to give you our first quarter awards of the season. And then, of course, we've got Mediocre Life Update, all that and more coming up next here on Green with Envy. You guys know the deal. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy, a live post-game show after what is a surprising 117 to 115 dub for the Celtics against the Cleveland Cavaliers. No Neemias Queta, no Derek White in this one, and yet the Celtics are able to pull out the win on the road. As always, this is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Hope everybody out there had an amazing Thanksgiving week. Hope you got to spend some time with your friends and family and loved ones. Speaking of friends and loved ones, let me bring in my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Menakis. Greg, I know you're playing with a little bit of an injury here, so whatever you got tonight, we appreciate you powering through as always. You're also muted right now. Great start.
And I thought that we were. Are we good?
You're good now. You're good. You're good. Yeah,
Okay.
I saw you struggling, so I went to go do it, and then we did it at the same time. But now we're good.
Relax, brother. Relax. Okay. Just we're good. We're good. Everything's cool over here. I got nothing to complain about. Life is good. If there's any updates, I'll provide the updates during the Mediocre Life Update. So don't spoil everything for the podcast listeners. Tonight is a great night because the Boston Celtics go in. After 20 games, I was 100% expecting to be 500. And the fact that we are not 500 means that this first quarter has been a undeniable success.
Right. Exceeding expectations, which is 11-9. 11-9 is definitively exceeding both you and I's expectations. And I think both you and I had pretty realistic a set of expectations for this team, that a 6 seed was somewhere around the ceiling of what this team is, but they're probably somewhere in that play-in mix. And, the East is just a giant pile of mediocre that we will talk about here on this episode. But 11-9, and I think there's a lot of positives. There's way more positives than negatives in my mind for this team right now and where they're at. And we're going to cover that as we're going to get to here our first quarter of the season, which is kind of crazy. We're already there. First quarter of the season awards. We got a few different categories that we're going to go through. But Greg, I do want to spend a couple of minutes here on this game because you and I texted before this. We saw Neemias Queta was out. We saw that Derek White was out. We 100%, this is second night of a back-to-back after a really tough loss to a Minnesota team where it felt like you were in control. Minnesota came back and got it. Then you fought back. Then Anthony Edwards hits this, crazy shot to kind of seal it. And it's just a night that was all set up for the Celtics to lose. Instead, they come out fiery, and now they're 2-0 against Cleveland, who was the preseason favorite with the Knicks to come out of the East. So go ahead and explain this one, because this was definitely the most unexpected win of the season, I think.
I think some of it has to do with like the stuff that our Celtics teams in the past have done to other teams, right? Where we see stars are out and then we underestimate what that team can do. And I think the Cavs kind of did that to us tonight, because when you see Derek White is out, you see Neemias Queta, who's our only big man, is out. You think that you're just going to roll right through the Celtics second night of a back-to-back after a hard-fought game in Minnesota last night. And Peyton Pritchard just looks at the Cavs and it's like, nobody on this team can guard me. I'm just going to go off. And this is one of the things that I've always really appreciated about Pritchard in this particular matchup against the Cavs is Darius Garland cannot guard him. There have been, like, if you go back to last season, the season before that, I have been on record saying that Peyton Pritchard just owns Darius Garland. And tonight they just started the game with Garland on Pritchard, and then, early on, they're like, we just can't do this anymore. There was a lot of Tyson on him. Proctor was on him for a little bit. They even put a little bit of length with Hunter on him at one point, and nobody could guard him.
Something that's interesting to that point, Greg, about the Garland and Pritchard matchup is towards the end of the game, the Celtics were kind of hunting when they're trying to secure the lead, right? They're trying to hunt that Garland on Jaylen Brown matchup. And weird enough, I think Garland actually fights his ass off against Jaylen Brown and is actually a little bit pesky. Yeah. And so they're fighting for that. And at one point in my head, I'm like, can we just not go for that switch and let's just let Peyton cook against Garland?
Yeah.
And that actually was the last basket. Was they called off going for hunting that switch, and it just was Pritchard against Garland, like you're talking about here. And that was, I think, the last field goal the Celtics made was that Pritchard going straight up against Garland. So, I mean, tonight is, without a doubt, Peyton Pritchard is the star of the show, even with foul trouble, right? You think about if he didn't have foul trouble early on, what does the stat line look like? He only played 30 minutes in this game, right? Like he's a guy easily, if he's not in foul trouble, could have played 40 minutes tonight, no problem, right? But ends up going 15 of 22 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3, 6 of 6 from the foul line, finishes with I believe a career high 42 points, 3 rebounds, at least a career high on the road, 42 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and just a masterful performance from who I think just felt so in control of everything that he was doing. There was a play, Greg, in the third quarter that I just was like, this is a different Peyton Pritchard, where he gets the ball in the left wing, kind of shot clock coming down, has this nasty little like veer side Euro step to get the shot off before the end of the shot clock. And it was just one of those Peyton Pritchard nights that you're just really happy if you were watching this full game and got to see it from start to finish.
Yeah, and Pritchard this year has kind of underwhelmed, and I think he's been under what my expectations were of him coming into the season, just because I think so highly of him, right? Like I always say, success is a function of realistic expectations, right? The Jalen Rose rule. And with Pritchard, I was expecting 20 points a game, like all-star conversation with Peyton Pritchard, and he hasn't been that. He's averaged 16 a game, which is good. The three-point shooting is taking some time to kind of get back to his averages. He's still working his way back up, but 6 for 11 tonight. And you just know that he's shooting that thing with a lot more confidence. And especially in a game where he's coming off of a bad game against a really good defensive team with the Timberwolves, and he's going up against a team with far less length in the Cavs. You just hope Peyton Pritchard steps up in those moments, and he absolutely did. He was the best player on the court tonight in a game that had Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jaylen Brown. Peyton Pritchard was the best player on the court tonight, and it wasn't even close. I was texting with our guy Phil that I mention all the time on the pod, and at the end of the game, after when JB gets picked by Donovan Mitchell at half court, I was like, why are we messing around with giving the ball to anybody but Pritchard right now?
Yeah,
90% free throw shooter, having the game of his life, and doesn't turn the ball over. Just keep the ball in Pritchard's hands. And to your point, with him waving off JB from that switch at the end of the game, it's like, thank God. Like, I didn't want Jalen to have the ball with Garland at the elbow, because Garland's going to flop. He's going to try and get that. As JB rises up, he's going to try and flop into the elbow, hitting him in the chin and all that stuff. So I was just happy to see Peyton Pritchard take over, and for Jaylen Brown to be okay letting Peyton Pritchard take over in a game where JB clearly didn't have his best scoring game, but he had a good all-around game.
Yeah, triple-double tonight for Jaylen Brown, 19 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. And, I think this was it's one of those nights where Jaylen Brown impresses without scoring. And I think to your point, he was okay giving the reins to a certain degree to Peyton Pritchard, which is what should have happened, because this was Peyton Pritchard's night. And so I think for Jaylen Brown, who just couldn't really get it going from the field, 3 of 13, but got to the line 16 times after, last night in Minnesota. Joe Mazzulla makes his football references and comments and, talk about Jalen not getting to the free throw line enough. And, I think John Corrales on Twitter highlighted, I think going into this game, Jalen was either 7th or 8th in the league in scoring. And, he's doing it in a very different manner, because you look at all the guys above him, the Lucas, the SGAs, Giannis's, whatever it might be, they're all at the free throw line close to double-digit times or above, right? Like Jalen just isn't getting there as much as they are, and it's certainly doesn't feel like for, a lack of him driving the basketball or him playing physical. We know that that's how he loves to play. And so tonight, for the response to be him getting to the free throw line 16 times, I think that was big. And then him also, getting on the boards. And I think he had one of my favorite assists that he's had this year. You mentioned how when they got that switch with Garland, at one point, what it was allowing them to do, especially because with the injuries, Xavier Tillman played a lot of it, who I thought was pretty solid, actually.
He's
But,
great.
he's just not a good shooter, as we saw on some of his hilarious misses in this game tonight. And so when Jalen had the ball on the, on the wing extended, like they could just double off Tillman, like, go ahead, cool. You've shot 2 off the backboard and 2 air balls tonight. We don't care. And Jalen was just super patient. And this is about 3 or 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jordan Walsh makes a really nice cut on the baseline of the dunker spot. Jalen hits him for a nice bucket. We'll talk about Jordan Walsh, but I thought that was a really great showing of Jaylen Brown adapting his game to what the moment called for, not forcing it, not just looking for the easy pass to Tillman, but being patient enough to let it develop and then trusting Walsh in that moment. And so even though it's not the JB game that we've been praising all season, I thought this was a really nice Jaylen Brown game, given the way that he adjusted to not having it from the field like he did last night in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like you have to look at these games in conjunction with one another, right? This is a 2-game sample out of Jaylen Brown where he has the best scoring output of the season in last night against Anthony Edwards when he's got the juice. And then when Derek White and Neemias Queta are sitting out, Jaylen Brown's like, nah, I'm not sitting out. Like, I'm playing this game. I'm going up against Donovan Mitchell. Let's go. Right. And he clearly doesn't have it. He's turning the ball over all over the place, 6 turnovers tonight. Just not able to get his shot where he wants it. Front rimming, back rimming, side, off the side of the rim. His patented mid-range shot just not going for him. 3 for 13 from the field tonight. But what I love about the effort tonight, 12 rebounds, 11 assists. Oh, yeah, it's all good. Only 4 3-point shots tonight. He knew he didn't have it. Right. So he was trying to get to his spots and he wasn't trying to force it from long distance. And a lot of nights when you're tired, you settle. And Jaylen Brown did not settle tonight. Right. He still tried to get to his spots, even though he is 3 for 13 from the field. A lot of those free throws were him getting to the elbow and causing fouls at the elbow. Right. Getting fouls on jump shots. And I think that's what impressed me the most about Jaylen Brown tonight is that he did not settle when he was clearly tired.
One last guy I want to talk about here in this game, and then we can kind of go on to our first quarter of the season awards. And of course, with someone else that we haven't got to, you can jump in here. But we got to talk about Jordan Walsh tonight. I thought Jordan Walsh was excellent in this game tonight. Had 14 points and 2 points that didn't count, where I thought it was one of his best shots of the season. That fadeaway that was just on the fingertips. But he finished with 14 points and 11 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals, and played a team high 38 minutes. I think that's really what actually jumps out to me, is just him leading the way with, especially in a night where you don't have Neemias Queta. And we're going to talk about Neemi when we get to these, first quarter awards. How much without him on the court, this team just loses from, the impact that he has both on the offensive and defensive side, the boards. And so to have him and Jalen step up and combine for 23 rebounds, that was massive. No Jared Allen for the Cavs tonight. We'll mention that as well. But you're going up against Evan Mobley, who's the defensive player of the year. It's absolutely opportunity for the Celtics to get killed on the boards tonight. And instead they win the rebound battle, right? Like that was a big difference. I was at the game on Wednesday against the Pistons and no Neemias Queta in that one. And the Celtics obviously get the win, but they were getting destroyed on the boards left and right. And it was kind of just a war of attrition to kind of battle through that, right? And so tonight, for them to be able to win that battle, not all of that, but a good portion of that is on the shoulders of the game that Jordan Walsh played tonight. And we've highlighted some of his individual defensive matchups. I would probably say from an all-around start to finish game, this was probably Jordan Walsh's best game of the season.
I would agree. I think it's his best game of his career. He held Donovan Mitchell to 7 for 16 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. And 2 of those last buckets were in the last 30 seconds of the game, desperation shots. Donovan Mitchell was also forced into 5 turnovers tonight. And I think it's just Jordan Walsh, like, really realizing his potential as an all NBA level defender. It's, when you watch other teams and you see guys with length, and you don't see them very often, I like the guy Tomlin for the Cavs, right? Every
Yeah.
time I tune into the Cavs, I'm like, damn, Tomlin is just long as hell. Same thing with Jaden McDaniels, like the night before, he's long as hell. And tonight, I really tried to focus on Jordan Walsh's length, like unbiased, like I don't see him every day, and he's one of the longest guys out there, man. His wingspan's like 7'2" or something crazy like that, and I think he just surprises people with his ability to contest late. And Donovan Mitchell was bothered the entire night. Jordan Walsh is always in your jersey and he's always going to contest your shots. And I think the Celtics, we're going to get into some awards here, but I think the Celtics may have actually found one in Jordan Walsh.
Yeah, Jordan Walsh will definitely be talked about in this next segment here. But to put a bow on this here, Celtics win 117-115 against the Cavs. They go to 11-9 on the season, 2 games above 500. Now 2-0 against the Cavs, Greg. Like that's honestly, that's really, really impressive for where we thought both of these teams were going to be. And they're 2 very, very legit wins against this Cavs team. And it's funny, over the break, I met up with some friends from high school. One of our good friends, Dom, she's actually married to a Knicks podcaster, Alex, who's been on this show, Alex Chataros of Knicks Fan TV. And so we were together, so we were talking for a little bit, and we started talking about the East. And I was just like, man, this entire conference is entirely mediocre. He was like, you don't believe in the Pistons? I'm like, long term, sure, but like this year, and this is why, as a Celtics fan, you have to just keep holding out hope. Like, I guess if Tatum comes back and he's even 80%, 90%, like it feels stupid putting percentages on something we don't even know if it's going to happen. But there's no reason this team can't be right back in the conference finals and or potentially win this conference, because from everything I've seen, the game against the Pistons where I was at, this game, Knicks at full strength, they were the one team that I told Alex that I was like, I think that's the only team that is genuinely has an opportunity to be competitive against anything I've seen in the West, because this is legit varsity, junior varsity leagues here, is that if Tatum's back on this team, maybe Brad can find one more tweak with a center. There's no reason the Celtics aren't just right back in this mix.
Right. Yeah, totally agree, man. I think with Tatum, it's all going to come down to, like, obviously health is the main thing, but how does he fit back into this mold? Does the entire team just revert back to Tatum ball, where he's the entire, offense and everything runs through him? Or does he learn from these 50 games that he's out and learns how to integrate himself in a different way, because he's not going to be the Jason Tatum of old? Maybe we can get this new version of Jason Tatum where he's more like, we've always called him like Swiss Army knife, but even more of a role player than he has been in the past.
Yeah, that's fascinating to think about, and that will be certainly something that we'll have to take a look at if and when we get to that time. We still have, I was thinking about this earlier as I was pondering just how weak the East is. I was like, we still have like 3 full months of basketball, December, January, and all of February, before it's even a realistic possibility for Tatum to come back. So we'll have plenty of time to suss this out and see where, things land. But promising start so far, like where the Celtics are at. And so with that, we wanted to kind of reflect back here on the first quarter of the season. We're 20 games in here of the 82 game schedule. Celtics 11-9, ninth in the East. We'll see, everything so close that we'll see where they end up by the end of the night once you get some other finals in here. Could jump up to 7th. We'll see. But 11-9 on the season. So we're going to go through and give a few different, we have about 5-6 different categories here that we want to get into and highlight where this team is at right now. And I think we should just start at the top, Greg, with MVP, because it's someone that we've already kind of touched on here. And I'm going to assume we have the same guy. We have not talked about who we have here. So I'm going to take a wild guess and go with, you have Jaylen Brown for this category.
I do have Jaylen Brown for this category. My guy, Jaylen Brown, stepping up and having the best season of his life. Averaging close to 29 points, gets a triple-double tonight after a 41-point masterpiece, dueling with Anthony Edwards last night. And Jaylen's just doing everything that you want out of him in a season where we said this was like a make or break season for Jaylen Brown in the offseason, as we were looking into, his value around the league. And one of the exercises I kind of wanted to do on this pod, I just wanted to kind of spring it at you, Will, is he just went up against Anthony Edwards. He just went up against Donovan Mitchell. We've always had him as like a top 15, top 20 guy. All things considered, this season, where do you have Jaylen Brown in your rankings?
So it's a great question. I'm not entirely unprepared, only because I tweeted out, I think it was yesterday, that I was like, Jaylen Brown's all NBA right now. The only question is
Mhm.
what team, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
went through and just did the exercise of it. I just looked at the standings and just wrote down just like, quick look at like who are the best guys in the league right now that would have to be, like these guys can't miss for all NBA. And there's probably some fringe candidates I missed. But here's the group of guys that I came up with. It ended up being 15 guys that I wrote down. And so we'd have to parse out where JB is. But here's the 15 names that I wrote down. Cade, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Giannis, SGA, Luka, Alperen Şengün, KD, Jokic, Wemby, Ant, Booker, Curry, and then I was saving Jaylen Brown for them just because Jaylen Brown's there. So those were the 15 guys that I think as of right now, definitely some fringe guys that we could argue about that aren't really worth it right now. But those were like generally the 15 guys that just quick snapshot. I was like, these 15 guys define the all NBA team, or these are the best players in the league right now. So where does he fit within this group of players? I mean, it's tough, but I just looking at it at a glance here, I'm gonna say he's probably somewhere in the 12, 13 range out of those guys, maybe a little higher. I mean, I haven't dug in on the numbers of each individual guy, but he went toe to toe with Ant yesterday, as you mentioned. He outplayed Mitchell in this game today. He and Cade at the game that I was at on Wednesday, he gets the win. Cade, I thought, was excellent in that game as well, but I thought him and Jalen were clearly the two best players in that game. I thought it was a real kind of mano-a-mano if you're trying to look at it that way. He's playing coming up on Tuesday. Celtics play the Knicks. We'll get to see him against Jalen Brunson. And so, I think in the Eastern Conference, he's in the top three, right? Like it's Giannis when he's healthy, and then we can figure out, and he's right there in that 2, 3, 4 race. I think when you expand it out to the league, he's probably just a little bit outside the top 10, but he's having just an amazing season right now.
So first team, I think, is the easy one, right? That's SGA, that's Giannis, that's Jokic, that's Luka. And the fifth spot, just because of team success, you probably got to go Cade this season, right?
Cade or Wemby, yeah.
Well, Wemby's been out already. I'm just
he's been
assuming,
out for a little bit,
yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm assuming he's just like not going to get the 65 games, but a pure talent, you'd probably go Wemby.
Yeah.
So that's your 5. And like when you think Cade is the one guy that's in there, right? That's like not clearly better than Jalen. It's like, okay, so Jalen is arguably having a top 5 season this year. Like you can figure out a way to put him in to that first team conversation. The Celtics record is going to be the thing that's going to hold him back. But just in terms of pure impact on the court, I haven't looked at all the advanced stats with Jaylen Brown this year, but watching him, he's clearly having the best season of his career. The question is like the it factor at the end of games. And we've always knocked Tatum for this, right? We've just like, man, like Tatum, just be the guy at the end of the game. Like we should feel better when the ball's in your hands.
Be the fucking guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's from the Bear, right? It's a great
line. It's so good.
Yeah. You got to be the guy, be the fucking guy. And that's what Jalen is learning how to do. He's getting his first crack at it tonight. When he went to the free throw line at the end of the game, I was like, he's not hitting both of these. I knew he was going to miss one of them. I didn't feel good with the ball in his hands when he was dribbling against Donovan Mitchell at half court when he turned the ball over, right? Like those little moments where you just like know in your heart of hearts, like this guy got it. Everyone else just get the fuck out of the way. He's not there yet, but he's arguably having a first team All-NBA season, which is fucking pretty great.
Yeah, this has been a really special Jaylen Brown time, and we talked a lot in the offseason leading up to this. This is a pendulum season for where his value is going to fall, just as far as how he's viewed, right? Because it's interesting. You think about those Warriors teams, and I don't know what Clay would have looked like on his own at his peak. I don't think Clay ever really had the ball, but we don't know because we just never saw it, right? We're getting at least a season now where we aren't left with that what if of just Jaylen Brown forever being knocked as like, well, he's just that second guy. We never he's at least now putting this in front of everybody like, hey, listen, I don't know what the ceiling is because this roster is flawed, beyond him, but he's the one leading this team to 11-9, exceeding expectations, and he's doing so in the most efficient way that he's ever done, which I think is probably the craziest part of all this, is that he's upped everything about his game. He's second in the NBA in usage right now at 35.6%. That's always been a question, right? What happens if his usage goes up? Well, pretty damn good is the answer. That's
and he's played in every game. That's the one
Yeah,
thing that a lot of these other
durable.
guys can't say is that they've played in every single game. And that's what I love the most about Jalen is like he knows that all eyes are on him and he's
Mhm.
stepping up into that moment. And that's why I love Jalen Brown. He's just a fucking man, dude.
Yeah, 28, 6, 4.5 assists per game on effective field goal percentage of 54.5, 10 games over 30 points, and only two players, at least going into tonight, had made over 200 field goals, him and SGA. So he's an ethical hooper, right? We talk about
Mm-hmm.
not foul Griffin. He's a very ethical hooper, not getting the line nearly enough as he wants to, despite the 16 in this game. So without a doubt, I think that was probably the easiest one that we were going to do tonight with these awards. MVP thus far through a quarter of the season is Jalen Brown. Let's go to biggest surprise here, Greg. And I think there's a couple different people that you could go with. I'm curious to see who you went with. I split this with another award that we have coming up because I think it could have gone either way. But your biggest surprise through the first quarter of the season is?
I'm gonna go Baylor Shireman.
Oh, okay. I
Baylor,
didn't have him, but I like this.
yeah.
Let's go.
Baylor Shireman is my biggest surprise because I honestly thought he wasn't going to sniff the court this season. I thought there was too much talent around him. Not even that the talent's like top level. I just thought he wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really I started to notice out of Baylor was that he could hang defensively. Right, Joe was willing to put him against some of the best matchups. He's guarded Cade Cunningham in both the games we played against the Pistons. He's guarded Cade more than anybody else that he's been assigned to. Tyrese Maxey got some minutes on. Anthony Edwards, he got some minutes on. And Joe just trusts him. Like I said this on a
Yes.
previous pod, but he's called out like Baylor Shireman is a guy that he trusts to inbound the ball in a clutch moment. He's the guy that if he decides to call for a challenge, he's going to trust Baylor because he thinks that Baylor knows the game and is ethical, to use your word that you just used. And not only that, he's shooting the shit out of the ball. 8 for 11 on corner threes, 50% overall from three coming into tonight, 57% from the field. I didn't look at his stat line tonight in terms of shooting, but I feel like he shot well.
Yeah. Two
So
of three, one of two from three.
yep. So right, 50%. He keeps that number. Baylor Sharman, my biggest surprise, man. I did not think that you were an NBA hooper, and you're proven to be so.
Yeah, I like this. I had been down in recent weeks because I was interested in Baylor Shireman going into the season. And two things that you touched on, and by the way, I always enjoy your solo pod. I think you do a really good job with the solo pod. So thank you
Thanks.
when
Appreciate it.
you have a chance to do this. I really enjoy those. Two things that you called out in that. One, which you just referenced it in what you just said, but the dime that he made inbounding the ball. That's going to be something I touch on here that goes along with another award that we have. But and you saw Joe trust him again tonight in this game against Cleveland when they need to inbound the ball late. He went to Baylor Shireman to go inbound the ball. So I like that, the QB mindset, right? And you talked about that dime he threw against the Pistons, in which the Celtics had to call a timeout at the first time getting the ball in, and I think he used about 4.9 seconds before his QB clock went off, and he got that pass out. Like that's really important for the Celtics to have, and that's been a nice development with Baylor Shireman and the trust factor. I thought it was really interesting that you noticed this while I was at the game. I was there with my cousin who had gone to the Rockets Celtics game earlier in the year, and he called out the same thing you did. First thing, as soon as I think it was in the first half when Baylor went over and told Joe to challenge, he looked at me and he goes, I'm telling you, Joe trusts Baylor. He did the same thing in the Rockets game. And in both these games, it wasn't like Baylor had been getting consistent playing time, but it was very quick. He looked at Joe, asked for the challenge. Joe did not look at Matt Reynolds, did not look back at the second row of the bench, just went right for the challenge. My cousin said it was the same thing. Listen to you the next morning. You called that out as well. So it's really interesting to see that apparently, what was the story of them in the offseason? They had a showdown in a doorway for 40 minutes, just staring at each other like psychos. Apparently that builds a strong bond. And so the trust is there between Joe and Baylor. And yeah, Baylor's been a nice uptick here in the last couple of weeks. And we've joked about between Minot and Ugo and Jordan, we got to have a leaderboard. We got to throw Shireman in there now too. It's in the mix, all four of them. I think we got to start having a power rankings maybe every 2 weeks of who's leading right now in this kind of wild card wing spot. I don't really know what to call it, but Baylor has definitely been a nice uptick here in the last couple of weeks. So I like that pick. I didn't have that here. I have a different one for my surprise. So biggest surprise for me, I'm going Neemias Queta. And for me, it's just how massively important he has become to this team. And, the numbers dictate that with him on the court, plus 15.2 net rating, off the court, minus 3.9. All of their rebounding statistics go off a cliff if he's not in this game. He's analytics wise, he is hitting all of the marks that you're going to want to see. And even just from, straight up, traditional numbers, 9.8 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1.4 blocks. Before the season, when we did our kind of Celtics redraft of the last 25 years, I mentioned there was a Mark Blunt stat line where it was like basically this 9-8 in a block. I was like, if that's what I get from Neemias Queta, I'm pumped. Like, that's what I want to see and get that consistency. Of course, he's coming off last night, his biggest game of the season, even though it's a loss, 19 points, 18 rebounds. And it wasn't a hollow 19-18, right? It wasn't like, he really fought and got those against Rudy Gobert, against Naz Reid, against Julius Randle. Like, that was really impressive. And he's developing the consistency quicker than I actually anticipated. I thought it would be glimpses, but it's becoming consistent far quicker than I really anticipated. And it started to make me wonder a little bit, again, going back to that Tatum question. Okay, if Tatum comes back, do we feel pretty good with Neemias Queta as our starting center? And now, instead of saying, okay, cool, he can be our backup, we still got to find a starter. Maybe that shifts to the question is he can be our starter. How do we find our backup? Right. Because I think going into the season, it was, we need to define, can he be a backup? It's shifting more to, can he be a starter? And it's not feeling like it's being overly, green with envy biased, right? Like, it doesn't have these green tinted glasses. Like, it feels pretty real. And again, this is the award. Biggest surprise here. I've been kind of not indifferent, but lukewarm on the Neemias Queta hype over the last few years. And I am coming around on that big time. Big fan of what Neemias has been able to do here in the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, I actually have him for most improved. So Kate is my most improved. He's 7th in the league in defensive rating, 101.8, 9th in net rating, 7th in offensive rebound percentage, and 6th in total screen assists. And Scal called it out on the broadcast tonight. As him and Drew were talking about Queta not playing, and they mentioned how Queta is just doing a lot better job of setting screens and knowing the timing on those screens, when to hold an extra second, when to slip out early, things like that, like the angle to set the screen, when to sprint up into a screen, all these little things that make the difference, where like he was clearly under the tutelage of Al Horford, who's one of the best screeners in the game over the last couple of years, and Luke Cornett, one of the best screeners in the game over the last couple of years. And it took him a little while to catch up to the speed of the game and to do that consistently without getting, 3 to 4 offensive fouls a game like he was early in the season. That has come down far. Like, I can't even remember the last time Nimi got called for one of those moving screens, right? It's just like they were so frequent.
Preseason, yeah. I was nervous because it was a disaster, that one game against Toronto, and I was like, this is where we're starting from. Like, this is the simple stuff that needed to improve, and it stood out so much, and he's come and corrected it, full bore since then.
Yeah, he's great, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. Neemias Queta is a starting center in the NBA. And like, I was looking at like all the names surrounding him with all the defensive stats. He's like a top 15 center. It's not even like he's like the 29th or 30th best center. He's like a top 15 center in the league this year. And I think those counting numbers of like the 9 and 8 by the end of the season will probably be more around like 11 and 9, 12 and 10, which is like at the beginning of the season what I was projecting from Queta was a 12 and 10 season. So I do think that Queta deserves most improved. And I even saw Abby Chin on the broadcast. She called out him for most improved player in the entire league.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that in the preseason as like a dark horse, right? Like, if this team, when we were kind of laying out what's the scenario, this team is a top 6 team or a top 4 seed in the East, like some people wanted to say, that was one of the check marks, right? There's like Nimi is like a defined starter and is in the most improved discussion. Like, that's absolutely, and it's, that's a weird, category when you get to the end of the season as to like who fits it, but he's at least got his name in the ring for it. And so for me, he was my biggest surprise, but you mentioned he was your most improved. So let me go with my most improved. And that goes to a guy that we talked about in this game against Cleveland. And it's Jordan Walsh. And it's kind of similar for some of the reasons that you mentioned, Shireman. we sent him to China a couple weeks ago, right? Like we just were like, I don't think Jordan Walsh is just gonna make it. Like he's nice kid, got the length, got the size, but it's just like he hasn't ever put it together to even give us a sample, right? To give us a sample of, okay, I can at least hold on to this. And the way that he's come on now, where he's now started, I wrote 7 games with this game. He's now started 8 straight games for the Celtics. The way that he has come on and the way he came into his own and the confidence, this is the thing that's jumping out to me the last couple of games. And especially in this Cleveland game, the confidence with which he is shooting the ball when he needs to shoot the ball, where he is crashing the glass. He had, a couple rebounds tonight where he just straight up ripped it from dudes, right? Like he just got down there and was like, fuck out of here. Old school Carmelo style. Fuck out of here. Grab the ball, go up with it. I talked about that nice cut that he made towards the end of the game, which Jalen hit him for the pass. You see the instincts are starting to kick in. There was so much of Jordan Walsh the last couple of years that when he was out there, where I almost wanted him to have a little bit more young Aaron Nesmith to him. Like, go make a mistake, man, please. Like, go do something reckless, because right now you're just doing nothing. And now what he was doing and playing safe, he's playing instinctually, and you're seeing him kind of take it to the next level, along with that all defensive portfolio that he's starting to build and the profile that was always there, which you've called him, Andre Iguodala-esque in his profile. Like that's always been there, but now you're seeing the theoretical become the practical, and it's really fascinating for me to watch a guy that I was completely out on 3 weeks ago, and now feel like I'm developing just a whole new, way appreciation for him at this time. So for me, that's my most improved, just because to your point of being what's the phrase you use, relative to expectations. You used it earlier. This
success is a function of realistic expectations.
Right. My realistic expectation was I'd be shocked if he plays. And now he's the starting small forward for this team.
Right. And small ball 5 as well. Joe Mazzulla went to small ball 5 with Jordan Walsh when he just like gave up on Josh Minott tonight. Minott had a great game and could have been in the running here for biggest surprise and most improved. Josh Minott's had a hell of a season as well, but Jordan Walsh is the guy that's standing out more than anybody, right? And the fact that Joe Mazzulla is trusting him to go small ball 5 and guard Evan Mobley, right? It's like pretty special stuff out of Jordan Walsh. He guarded Jaren Jackson Jr. in another game. And then Drew Carter called it out on the broadcast. He called him the garbage man tonight, which got me thinking. He kind of reminds me of Jerome Williams? Was that his name? Yeah, Jerome Williams. He was the junkyard dog. Yep. The junkyard dog. Like there's a little bit of Jerome Williams junkyard dog in Jordan Walsh. And if Jordan Walsh develops like that mentality to go along with the physical tools, he could be a really special player.
Jordan Walsh got that dog in him. All right, let's go. We got 2 more categories here that we are going to rip through. Biggest disappointment. Do you want to take this one first, Greg? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. And wondering if we have the same guy. Derek White.
No, different guy.
Okay.
I think the floor is yours.
Similar. Success is a function of realistic expectations. I was expecting an all-star season out of Derek White, and we've gotten anything but that. We've had 1 or 2 games where Derek White has looked like the offensive force that we were expecting out of him. He has shot very poorly outside of a couple of games. He's, barely over 30% from 3. I don't even think he's at 40% from 2. Just still doing a lot of the fun Derek White stuff that he does, the steals, the blocks, the chase downs, all that stuff is still there. But I was expecting more out of Derek White, and that just shows you how highly I think of him, because although he's been a disappointment, I don't think he's necessarily had like a bad season. It's just I was expecting so much out of him, and he hasn't even come close to my expectations.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. His overall field goal percentage is 36.3%. That's pretty bad. And 42.3% from 2 is what it is. And I did consider Derek White for this because of just how we view him. But to your point, I still don't think he's been bad. There's things that, has gotten better. There's less of those early season just nonsense heat check threes that we're seeing in there, but there's still moments where I was rewatching because I was kind of half watching some of that T-Wolves game yesterday, so I rewatched the second half this morning, and there was a play on the right wing where he has an up fake, and man, I just feel like there's been moments that his mid-range, or he's got that floater, like when he's able to mix it up a little bit more, right? That's when you start to see the good Derek White, right? And then he can kind of get into some of those 3-point shots. And there was a moment where he just had like an open lane where he could have got to his floater, he could have got to his mid-range, which I think usually has at times can feel a little bit more automatic. And he settled for kind of one step into a step back, into a side step back.
I know what play you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, man, it was right there. Like it was there for you, and that's the type of stuff that I just think can get cleaned up. So I did consider Derek White, but because I think much like Jaylen Brown has had a lot put on him and he's exceeded expectations, he definitely hasn't met expectations, but I think he's still trying to figure out how to be that number 2 guy, which he's never really meant to be in his truest NBA form. So thought about him, did not have him. Probably no surprise to you. My biggest disappointment is Anthony Simons. Now, Anthony Simons tonight against the Cavs, probably one of his better games, right? Gave you actually kind of what you were looking for. A guy that can get hot quickly and can kind of sustain your offense for a little bit and not put it all on Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White. Just give you somebody else that can create their own shot and doesn't have to, doesn't turn the ball over, right? No turnovers tonight. Had 18 points, 8 of 14 from the field, but it's just been too far, and it's just been too little, right, from Anthony Simons. You get a little bit here and there, but it's just not enough. And it's not entirely his fault, which I will get to here in a minute. But he's shooting the ball well from 3, right? You got to give him his props on that. He's shooting over 40% for a team that shoots a lot of threes. Not a lot of guys shooting over 40% for the Celtics right now. So to have him shooting the ball as consistently as he is, I think it's something they need more of, which is not all on him. Again, I will get back to that, but he's not really doing much else. Like, I don't know if you remember from the game against the T-Wolves yesterday, Greg. Anthony Simons against Naz Reid on the wing. I feel like that should be something that a guy of Anthony Simons' caliber, you should be able to create something up on that. Got locked the F up by Naz Reid. Like, wasn't even close. Like, didn't even get there was never a moment where I was like, oh, he's going to get by Naz Reid. Oh, he's going to create space and get a step back. Just Naz Reid hanging with him blow for blow. And Naz Reid is a okay defender on the perimeter, not necessarily his forte. So if that's where you're at right now, like that's just really hard to swallow. And there just hasn't been enough of the Simons experience that I've enjoyed. And so the shooting from 3, cool. Need more of it. And just the on-ball stuff has just been really, really gross most of the time. And I just have not enjoyed Anthony Simons on this basketball team so far.
Yeah, I'm mostly there with you. You said you're gonna get to this at some point. Is this mediocre life update, or you want to talk about Missoula right now?
So we have another award here. Yeah, we talk about Missoula because
Okay.
that's the other award that we have here is kind of the TBD. Like I need to see more. We don't. 1 quarter is not enough. So this is a kind of a cop out of an award. It's more just what else do we need to see more of? I need to see. I'm so when I was texting you, you mentioned this. I was texting you, asked me for thoughts on on Wednesday. I was at the game. There's a whole bunch of Joe Missoula thoughts because I am very, very confused on how I feel about Joe Missoula as a coach. The results say I should think he's one of the best coaches in the league, hands down. It's not a question. Even when you look at some of the high level numbers, they're 5th in offensive rating. They've dropped to 17th in defensive rating, but I think that will tick back up eventually at some point here. 10th in net rating. They don't turn the ball over, but there's just certain things with Joe that are just really bugging me this year that I subjectively don't know how to feel about. And there's 3 things I'll give you here, Greg, that really jump out to me that I'm going to try and give it more time before I feel definitive. The first thing, just because I was talking about it, is the Simons situation, right? Like Anthony Simons, he's been very disappointing in what he's produced, but the moments that he has produced, I think they can be better, but I think Joe has just neglected to try to put him in better situations. And as a coach, I understand Simons isn't probably your perfect player, Joe Missoula, but it's your job as a coach to make the most out of the talent that you have on this team. And he's just not doing that with Simons.
Yeah,
And
like Brad Stevens would be getting him paid this offseason.
Exactly. And Anthony Simons is the opposite of getting paid right now. I
Yeah.
think it was a Zach Lowe podcast recently where he did say, I did talk to a few scouts where they were alarmed at just how difficult it's been for Anthony Simons to fit into Boston, because it felt like on paper, hey, this should be a good opportunity for him to really
Right.
stand out.
And remember, I texted you at one point when we were playing the Knicks. I was like, who's getting paid more this offseason? Is it Grimes or Simons? I think it's clearly Grimes.
It's easy. I don't even think it's a question right now. Like
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. And so, but to the Missoula point, like Simons has shown you there's something valuable that he presents when he gets hot real quick, the way that he can, stretch the defense and is a really good shooter. But like the thing that drives me crazy, Greg, I'll exclude tonight's starting lineup in the fourth quarter because there's a lot of injuries. But against Detroit and against Minnesota, here's the lineups that Joe Mazzulla went with to start the fourth quarter in each of these close games against two far more talented teams, I would say, top to bottom with their depth. Against Detroit, the lineup is Simons, Hauser, Gonzalez, Shireman, and Minot for 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In Minnesota, it's Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Simons, Minot, and Shireman. Those are weird lineups. Specifically the Detroit one, I was going nuts. I was like, what is this lineup that we are presenting here in a close game? And especially in that Detroit game, Simons hadn't played the entire third quarter. I think he played the last 30 seconds of the third quarter. And then he played those 4 minutes, and that was it. So that was not putting Simons in a position to succeed. Like, that's a really bad job by Joe, in my opinion, outside of the lineup being weird. But that's where you're trying to put Simons into that position to carry a team. It just didn't make any sense to me. So that's one of the three things. I want to give you a chance just to reflect on that, because I went a little bit longer on the Simons and Mazzulla of it all.
Yeah, the only thinking there is you're up against the Pistons. You have 4 really good defensive players. Well, who was it? It was Minot, Ugo, Shireman, and Walsh.
Hauser and Simons.
Oh, yeah. It's not a good lineup.
It's a weird lineup.
It's just a bad line. It's just a bad lineup. Yeah. Joe's been all over the place for me. I was texting with Phil. I was like, man, I know I shouldn't look at Ime and have those wandering eyes, but I watch the Rockets and I'm just like, God damn, Ime's a good coach. He's a really good coach.
He's a really good coach.
We went from Ime to, it'll be Will Hardy. Nope, Will Hardy's on the Jazz, to now we have Joe Mazzulla. First year's a mess. Second year, championship. Third year, it's, I don't know, Joe was okay, I guess, last year. But it's been confusing with Joe Mazzulla. I love his personality. I love how committed he is to his values and principles as a coach, but he's a stubborn motherfucker, and that's what's made him successful to this point. But he's stubborn to a fault, right? And hopefully he has the self-awareness to make some of those changes. But I mean, to give him credit where credit's due, Neemias Queta started from day one. Baylor Shireman, he's put him into the game and he's trusted him, and Baylor Shireman's proven to be a guy. And it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Joe.
I mean, this is why it's my TBD. I don't know. I have fallen on. He is certainly above average, right? He's certainly above average as a coach, but there's something left to be desired, whether it's the constant worry of, are we just going to leave the game with 2 timeouts? Is Joe gonna, even tonight against the Cavs, when they were, what were the Celtics up either 2 or 3, it's under 20, they have to foul because it's under 24 seconds. Get the ball to half court. Don't allow us to potentially get caught in the backcourt, and then we call the timeout with 3 seconds left to get it over. And
at that point, I don't even know if that's the time to call the timeout, because there's 3 guys on Pritchard and 3 guys up the court wide open. You know what I mean?
And then getting the ball in, this is the point of going back to that Shireman dime. Half the time that Joe isn't using his timeouts and saving them, we have to use them because we can't get the ball in because Joe has no plays when we're getting the ball in. Even tonight, the play was just kind of thank God Pritchard was open, and Pritchard sprint and scramble for 3 seconds to try and get that ball across. And so that's why, as you and I were texting at the end of the game, I'm like, if this game's close late, I don't have any confidence that Joe's getting us in a position to win, right? And that's where, to the point that you made, his philosophy of advantage basketball it works great for the first 44, 45 minutes because you're just constantly looking for advantages. But when the game slows down and the coach needs to insert themselves into these, after timeout plays, these out of bounds plays in which a coach can really make a really strong impact, I think the Celtics are at a pretty strong deficit when it comes to that. And you're looking at these other top tier coaches.
Fair. You got anything else on Joe?
No, we hit the three things for me. It was the lineups, the Simon situation, and clutch situations. I guess I got to gather more info because I don't know how to feel about Joe. So that's my TBD. What's your TBD?
I didn't have a TBD. I didn't understand the text when I got it,
That's
so
fair.
I'm unprepared for that.
That's fair. It wasn't really an award. So it was just something that I wanted to talk about because I saw it live and it racked my brain.
Fair.
Do we have anything else that we had for awards, or was that?
No, that was it. We're gonna go to midlife update, mediocre life update, and bring in Alex.
Midlife update. Okay. All right. Let's bring in producer Alex here, and then let's hit it right now. We are gonna do some mediocre life update. All right.
I never know how long Will's gonna play that music for.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why? Because I don't know. I don't know either. I still don't know.
I think it goes for 3 minutes or something like that.
It does. I thought it was going to be shorter. And the first time it just kept going. I was like, well, we can't do this. This is horrible podcasting. So we needed to change that up. But we got Alex in the building here. So we got myself, Greg, and Alex here for mediocre life update. Greg, do you want to kick us off, or do you want to let Alex go first here, as he's kind of our guest of honor on this segment?
Man, I miss Alex. I haven't seen Alex's face in a little bit. How you doing, my guy? Before we get into the mediocre life update, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Been busy recently. I've been to 7 Caps games in the past 14 days, something like that. Working a lot.
The job's going good?
Yeah, Caps going good. Caps are rolling.
Caps are hot. I saw your Instagram story. I don't know anything else about hockey, but Caps are hot. I'll take it.
Yeah, no, they're doing good. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. Celtics are playing better.
Good,
especially, but not really in those last couple minutes. They get the heart going. I'll give them that. They make sure it's still working.
They're like 3 shots of espresso straight to your heart. Give us the mediocre life update. What's new?
I did not come prepared for a mediocre update. So
okay, I'll go. I want you to, as I'm going, I want you to think about your mediocre life update.
Okay, I will do it.
All right, I'll go first. I know you guys know. I got hand, foot, mouth. I mentioned this on the solo pod. James got hand, foot, and mouth on Monday night. He developed a fever. Tuesday, that's when like the sores started sprouting up over his hands, feet, and his mouth. And typically adults don't get it. It's something like you're exposed to as a kid. The immune system figures it out, and then you don't get it when you're an adult. He had it a couple months ago. I did not get it. I have it right now. And let me tell you, it sucks, man. My throat, Danielle took a picture of my throat today. It's gross. Like pustules everywhere, just like all of the whiteheads and all that nastiness. My hands are covered in sores. It hurts to eat anything. It hurts.
You put your hands up to the camera. Can we see?
They're like, I don't think you'll be able to see them with like the, I don't know. You can't really see them.
I mean, it looks like you just have like calluses from lifting. I can't really like see much else.
Yeah, I'd be putting up them weights, bro.
No, I got you, dog.
No, I think hand, foot, and mouth is not something that you want as an adult. And it like
and real quick, to be clear, I think we've talked about this in text, but hand, foot, and mouth, like it's not like James was putting his hand and foot in his mouth to get this disease as it states. And like I know that some people are gonna be like, you idiot, but like literally that's what I think a lot of people think of. That's what I thought of until kids and like this actually.
So you're hearing hand, foot, in mouth.
Well, and mouth, but I'm just assuming that's how it would happen. It's like, and my daughter just started putting her foot in her mouth the other day, so that's like got me thinking about it as well.
Okay, no, but it's brutal, man. Like I made this delicious sauce. You know how I love making sauce. And I couldn't eat it today. It was like too acidic for my throat. I had to have a soup, which I'm not complaining. I love a soup, but it was pretty bad. Hurts to talk. Like I got my lips hurt, my hands hurt. It's just brutal, dude. I had a fever yesterday, and it's just not been fun. Thanksgiving was rough. I made steaks instead of like having real Thanksgiving because we couldn't go anywhere, and we kind of just kicked it. So the last like 5 days, we've just been quarantined with the three of us and the dogs.
Yeah, that's rough, dog. This is something, again, I'd heard of hand, foot, and mouth, but like it had never, I was like, where's that? Who even gets that? And now
I've never heard
with
of
kids,
that.
I realize that it all comes from like having kids, basically. It's
Mhm.
like where it originates. I was in Boston over Thanksgiving, and I think a few weeks ago, my cousin, whose son is just turned 1 beginning of November, he had it as well. And so to your point, rare for adults to get it, but I think, what is it? You had chicken pox, right? I know it's
Yeah.
not the same thing, but usually there is like,
It's like
what
chicken
causes
pox,
adults to
shingles
get this?
adjacent. I think it's a
Yeah,
virus.
exactly.
It's a virus. Yeah. But it's gross. I mean, like the sores like pop and they ooze and it's disgusting. So
what's the timeline on? So is James back to 100%?
James is good, man. He's living life. He's loving it right now. One thing that you'll be really happy about, he has this basketball book in his room that he hasn't paid any attention to up until this week. And now whenever he goes into his room, he just points at the book and goes, ball, ball, ball. So we take the book down and we open the page, and there's like a lot of text in it. And he just wants to find any page that has a basketball on it, and then he'll just shout ball. And it's great.
Good to see all of our subliminal messaging, my gifting of a basketball hoop. Good to see it's all going according to plan.
Oh yeah, he's the man. Good dude, little James.
All right, Alex, are you prepared, or would you like me to step in here? What you got for us?
I mean, it's not right. I think it's more of a positive life update. You guys are a big
we'll be the judge of that.
TV shows watchers, so I'm sure you know Stranger Things came out.
Oh yeah.
I think on Wednesday. And I was going to, because when the last season came out, 2022, I was just gonna like go right to season 5. I've been rewatching with Lily, who had never seen the show before, so like I was rewatching to catch up, but she kind of sped along and finished the whole season 4 or whatever. And by the time it came out, I'd only watched the first 2 episodes of season 4, and they did like a little 4-minute recap when you click onto season 5, because it's been 3 years or whatever. So I'm like watching this recap,
which is insane, by the way, to go 3 years between seasons.
Yeah, I'm like watching this recap. I'm like, did I even watch season 4? Like, I had no idea what was going on. So I actually went back and finished season 4 over Thanksgiving, and then me and Lily watched all 4 episodes yesterday of Stranger Things. And I would say it's worth it. If you're going to go watch the show, I would rewatch. Although the only negative is like, these are like movies they're putting out. Like the last episode of season 4 is 2 hours and 20 minutes, an absolute grind to get through. But
wait, of the newest episodes, it's 2 hours.
No, previous season.
Previous season. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, so you do like the new season. Let's start there, because me and my wife were talking about this a little bit earlier today. So you did like, was it season 5 is the one that dropped on?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, so far, I think I like it more because it felt like I just finished season 4, and I'm going right into season 5, so I get like that continuation. But yeah, I liked it. My favorite character is Derek. He's so funny. I just laugh every time he's on screen.
Is that the fat kid?
Yeah, he's new.
Yeah. He's pretty great. I also watched it with Danielle as we were quarantined the last 4 days. So we've just been
makes
watching.
Sense. That's a good quarantine. Yeah.
Highly recommend. No spoilers. Okay. Fat Derek is great. Derek Turnbow is his name. Let's see if there anything that I can give away without spoiling stuff. No, I don't want to spoil anything. It's great. Highly recommend.
Okay, highly recommend. Okay, good. So because it's been so long, we saw it today on our Netflix, and like we were just like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore. Like, do I even give a shit about these kids anymore? Like, I really don't know that I do. And also, like, it's just like these kids are fucking adults now. Like they like they started the show and they were like these little kids. It's like half of them are they're like in their 20s. Like, like I saw Millie Bobby Brown, and like adoption is close to me. She's adopting kids now. Like she's still in the show.
It's really tough to look past the Millie Bobby Brown lip filler. I'll tell you that. They try and shoot it so you don't notice it, but the Millie Bobby Brown lip filler is noticeable on 11.
Okay. So we'll have to consider it. We've been really tired from traveling, so we haven't had a chance to catch up on much since we got back. But I'll have to suggest that we put it in the queue because both of us were like, let's wait and see if people say it's any good before we invest time because we just don't care about it anymore. Even though the first 4 seasons of Stranger Things I loved, like I was all in and watched every single one of them. Again, thank God there's a 4-minute recap, like you mentioned, Alex, because I couldn't tell you what happened.
You're
Other than they
gonna be
put that
shocked when
one.
you watch it. I was shocked.
Only thing I remember is like Vecna was like a real. Vecna was like they put him in like the prosthetics, and it wasn't like a CGI type of thing.
I couldn't believe what was going on my screen when I was watching this recap. I will say the one thing.
Did you watch season 4 or did you just completely forget about it?
I did. I watched it when it came out.
Okay.
You didn't finish the rewatch.
I didn't finish the rewatch. I stopped because I know what happens. Come on, I watched the show.
So season 4 is when they go to Russia.
By the way, real quick, I mean, this isn't giving anything away. I thought the Russia storyline was ridiculous. How the fuck did that connect to Hawkins, Indiana? That was insane.
Everything in the 80s connected back to Russia, man. It's a Cold War.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, that was. I forget. I am remembering watching that and being like, how are these 2 storylines connected? Like, what is happening here between both of these? So, all right, you guys both recommended it, so I will put it on the docket for me and the wife to take a look at.
Well, all right,
we're going long here, so I'm gonna
go ahead, Alex. One more thing on Alex. Go ahead.
Well, first, I think the pacing on Stranger Things is unbelievable. I think their show, like pacing episode to episode, is really good. But also, right now, I think there's a lot of good television out. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched Welcome to Derry on HBO Max.
I've heard
that's the It show. Mm-hmm. And then there's also Pluribus on.
I'm in on Pluribus.
Apple TV. I love that show because I'm a big
from Vince Gilligan, Greg. Who did
Breaking Bad
and Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
can I make one recommendation? This is a Hulu show.
Okay.
For any Oliver Twist fans out there, not that there are many Oliver Twist fans, but there's a show called The Artful Dodger, which has Jojen from Game of Thrones, and then Professor Lupin, the werewolf in Harry Potter. They play this little like duo in, I don't know, what would it be, like 18th century England or whatever? No, they're in Australia because they're in the penal colony. They're in Australia. But it's really good. The Artful Dodger, check it out. You don't need to have read Oliver Twist to like the show.
Okay. I like this. I like TV recommendations.
One show per platform.
Yeah. We got you guys.
Make it worth it, man.
Yeah. I like it. Okay, I'll give a quick mediocre life update because we're running a little bit long here. I mentioned I was just traveling for the holidays, was back in Boston. Something that I feel like I need to do more often, and as men on this podcast, I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. I feel like I let my underwear go a little too long. And I got some fresh, got some fresh underwear.
This is what the segment is all about, baby. Go ahead. Hit me with it.
Got some fresh underwear for the trip, and you know how sometimes it's just like because it's already curled up and like it's not easy to pack, right? So it's like, all right, I'm not even gonna take these out. I'm just gonna put them in, take them out of the box, but put them in the suitcase as is. So put them on brand new, fresh, like first day after you get back after a flight, and whatever. Man, feel like $1 million when you put on a brand new pair of underwear. Like that's a great feeling. It's an underrated feeling, and it then makes you wonder in that moment, man, why don't I just wear new underwear more often? Like I gotta change my underwear more often. Like how often are you either of you introducing a new set of underwear to your rotation?
Me personally, I don't think I have bought underwear myself ever in my entire life. I only get like underwear refills from my grandma. So anytime she sends me, a new thing of underwear, I will say it feels good. But I think I probably right now have like 70 things of underwear. She sends me so much, so I have a lot of.
Dude, Abuela Gonzalez is hooking it up.
Yeah.
Which side of the family?
My dad's mom. She's a big like TJ Maxx, Marshall's, like a deals person. So she always.
What kind of underwear does she send you?
She sends me like either Fruit of the Loom or Reebok. It's like the stretchy. It feels really nice, honestly. It's kind of like women have like the long underwear. It's like a little bit shorter than that, but
I love the
used to wear
idea
boxers, but
of your grandma going shopping at like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, whatever. And she's just like she goes walking by because the boxes are all in one section, right? I just love that she's like, you know what? You know who I think probably needs some more underwear again? I think it's my grandson Alex. I think
I wiped this kid's ass a lot. I know that he's got some streaks on those underwear that I've sent him in the past. I gotta send him some new underwear.
It's like Greg, you remember in Seinfeld when like Jerry's grandma keeps forgetting that she sends him like a $20 check or whatever it is, or like
right.
like these small checks. It's that, but it just keeps sending underwear. She just keeps forgetting that she sent Alex underwear. It's like, you know what? I keep meaning to send Alex more underwear. I should buy him some underwear.
I probably will get some for Christmas. We'll see.
Alex, I want you to actually, you don't have to do it right now, but I want you to count how many pairs of underwear you actually have and text us after the show.
I will. I have to go through my laundry, but my grandma recently has she's started using FaceTime, so she'll like FaceTime me when she's at like TJ Maxx or Marshalls, but she doesn't know how to flip the camera, so like she'll go like this.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. Yeah. Grandma. So love you, Grandma. Both my grandma's dead. I don't get underwear no more, bro. No, Danielle, she actually bought me new underwear recently because I've had some of the underwear that I still wear. I think, no, am I wearing new underwear? No, I'm wearing the underwear that she bought me right now. But there's some underwear that have holes in them, and I just just don't throw them away. And she's like, you know, that underwear has holes in it right there. Like there's a pretty big hole, like right on your asshole, right there. And I'm like, yeah, but like it still works for the most part.
Well, I was gonna say
you should probably throw those away.
So I was gonna say it depends where the hole is. If it's directly in your asshole, you should probably throw those out. Because I do that, but it's like on my thigh. But it's like, oh, but then. No, that doesn't make any sense. There's no one is doing that.
I was joking, dude.
Okay. Well, you also said you're 50% of the time putting your shirt on the correct way, so it's hard to know when you're joking.
Dude, that's 100% true. Like I still, if I have a plain black T-shirt, it's 50% whether I'm putting it on.
I know, but
correctly.
That's insane. Like there's no one that agrees with that take, Greg. It's nuts. That's like
I don't know, Danielle.
You've said a lot of crazy things. That's the craziest thing you ever said.
Danielle sends me a lot of like couples Instagram reels and whatnot, just so she could be like, see, like there are other girls that are crazy like me. And I'm okay, like cool. But then there was this one that she sent, and it was like this girl, she's like, yeah, my husband just bought me a new house and a new car and everything, and I just love this man so much. I can't believe I get to like marry him. And then the camera flips, and it's just him struggling to put a shirt on, and he's got his head like in the armhole. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
Well, I think we actually kind of crushed this mediocre life update. Very, very mediocre updates all around. I think we did what this segment is designed to do. So good job.
I mean, I loved it. Alex was unprepared. I talked about illness, which is what you do when you're in your mid-30s, and then you brought it with the actual purpose of the segment. I appreciate it.
Well done all around, boys. For the audience, if anyone's still there, Celtics this week, Tuesday against the Knicks, Thursday against the Wizards.
I'll be there Thursday.
Friday. Oh, all right. We'll have to check in with you on the weekend pod here, Alex. Get your thoughts about in person against the Wizards, and then home against the Lakers on Friday, Sunday at Greg's Toronto Raptors. So that will be a podcast that we do after that game. But we'll be back midweek here. We'll have some more to talk about here after that Knicks game, not live afterwards, but likely on Wednesday we'll have a podcast for you guys. So stay tuned, stay locked in across TikTok, across Instagram, across YouTube. We got you. Alex got you with the clips. This has been another episode here, Green with Envy. We appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and we will talk to you later. Peace.